Last night was a complete and total failure for not only the Republican Party, but the pro-life movement. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video, and today, it is time that we talk about the post-mortem of last night's election night. Because everyone, that was absolutely pathetic. What happened? Republicans had low expectations, but somehow, some way, they couldn't even reach that. Hell, I predicted Democrats to win most of these races. Everybody did. But no one expected some of the margins we saw. Across the board, Kentucky, Ohio, Virginia, hell, Mississippi. Republicans underperformed their low expectations. It was pathetic. And it's time we discuss what the hell is going on here. Why are Republicans continuing to underperform, and how do we solve this? But first, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Guys, just for $1 a month, you can join Real American. This is the best way to support the daily content that we all know and love. So I hope and recommend you join the channel today. Alright, everybody. Now, let me be clear about all of this. Like I said, I expected some bad results. I flat out said that for my final predictions. But nothing could have prepared me for what I just witnessed. Republicans got the shit kicked out of them. Underperformed, and I know people are going to say, we did a lot better than Trump in Virginia. We still underperformed even the lowest expectations. But before we get into the Virginian stuff, let's start with the first state that closed, the Commonwealth of Kentucky. This was the first thing we saw, and it was bad. I had Beshear winning. Contrary to popular belief, I had Cameron losing by 2 to 3 points, I think it was. But guess what? Andy Beshear won. By 5. He won by 5 percentage points. And you know why he won? Look at some of these numbers in Western Kentucky. Look at this. Pike County, only Cameron plus 10. Just an example. Just an example. Trump won it by 60. Floyd County, Beshear plus 14. Trump won this by 52. Or 51, excuse me. Republicans crapped the bed in Kentucky. And you know why? Turnout. This is the constant trend. And no, it's not because Cameron was endorsed by Trump. If you think Trump being endorsed, or Cameron being endorsed by Trump, a state he won by 26, when Cameron was the Attorney General and won his election by 18 back in 2019, if you think this was Trump he's a toxic candidate, he's causing all of this. If you think the Trump endorsement hurt Cameron in Kentucky, when, mind you, Trump is more popular than Beshear in Kentucky, I have nothing to say to you. You are completely delusional for thinking Trump costed us Kentucky. You know what costed us Kentucky? And again, I wish Trump would have done more for Cameron. I agree with that. But to blame Trump for it is unbelievable. He won the state by 26 points. You know what caused Cameron to lose by 5 points? Turnout. And I've been saying this for a while now, but my theory, and a few other people that are much smarter than me, they figured out something a couple months ago. Elections where turnouts were much lower than expected Republicans got slapped. But elections where turnout was about where it was expected, if not higher. Republicans overperformed. Turnout was supposed to increase in Kentucky by 4 points. Not only did it not increase, it went down from 2019. 4 points down. Cameron did 4 points worse than Matt Bevin. A 4-point swing statewide when turnout was down by 4 points. Notice the trend? It's just an odd correlation, isn't it? Again, turnout was supposed to go up by 4 points statewide. It was supposed to be 46% or something. It was 42, or not even 42, it was 38. 42 was what it was back in 2019. They couldn't even reach 2019 turnout. And it showed. Cameron did far worse. And hold on, let me bring up 2019's map. Alright, so I got 2019's map up, excuse me. And just look at Jefferson County. Beshear got 186,000 votes, excuse me, in the county of Jefferson. This is where Louisville is. In 2023, I should say, he got 179,000 votes. He did 7,000 votes worse in Jefferson than he did back in 2019. Fayette, Beshear got 74,000. Back in 2019, he actually did slightly better in 2023 than he did in 2019. But you just start looking at some of these areas. Look at Madison. Beshear was 15,000. Beshear was 14,000. This is the main bellwether. He did 1,000 votes worse than Madison. Notice something? A lot of these counties, Beshear actually went down in total votes. Problem? Cameron imploded in turnout with most of the state. That was the problem. Turnout, turnout, turnout. And issue 1 in Ohio proves my point. We'll get to issue 1 in a second, but just look at some of these areas. Look at, let's go to Casey County. Cameron got 3,200 votes. How much did Bevin get? 3,500 votes. That's a 300 vote decrease. Just look at some of these areas. Almost 14,700 votes in Pulaski in 2019. Pulaski, 12,957. A 2,000 vote decrease. But she only went up like a couple hundred votes. So it wasn't just him flipping a bunch of people. The problem was Cameron did not get the votes out. He did not get the Trump voter out. And it's clear, his raw votes statewide was almost 100,000 votes worse than Matt Bevin, who was hated in Kentucky. But Andy Beshear's number also went down by 16,000. Turnout was the problem in Kentucky, not Trump's endorsement. Give me a frickin' break. But not only that, let's just go to issue 1. When I saw the exit poll, and I'm not showing it right now, but the exit poll should wake up everyone to what I'm saying. So issue 1 succeeded by 13 points. This was the abortion referendum. Back in 2020, Trump won the state by 8 points. That's critical. So you would think that would mean a bunch of Trump voters, they voted for the abortion referendum. A chunk did. And you would think, okay, with it being lower turnout, maybe it was Trump plus 5 or 6. Right? Bit down, but still a fairly Trump electorate. Alright? Guess what? It wasn't. In the 2020 election for president, who did you vote for? Who did you vote for? 45% for Biden. Donald Trump, 43%. It was a Biden plus 2 electorate at least. And I maybe say it's closer to Biden plus 3 or 4. Because these did not votes and other votes. From everything I'm seeing, these might be Biden voters. Because there wasn't that large of a third-party vote in Ohio back in 2020. is around like 2%, if that. So, who are these other votes? When Biden's popularity is horrible, even a Biden plus 2 electorate, it's only like, 39% approval. And you look at party ID, you look at ideology. I mean, right here, ideology, liberal, 34%. Conservatives, only 36%. That's makes me really wonder, these other votes, or are they just Democrats who didn't want to admit they voted for Biden? It's very well possible. But even then, that is a 10-point decrease with Trump voters in the state of Ohio, margin-wise. Instead of it being a Trump plus 8 electorate, or even Trump plus 10, it was Biden plus 2 to 4. Nearly the entire margin for yes was made up with Trump's electorate, or Trump's turnout, Trump voters not turning out. Nearly the entire margin. That's what I'm saying, everybody. Republicans had a turnout disaster last night across the board. They cannot get these Trump voters out to vote. And the most embarrassing of them all is Virginia, in my opinion. Why? This should have been a slam dunk for Youngkin. Youngkin is beloved in this Commonwealth. Biden is freaking hated. Republicans, they ran the moderate, the electable candidates across the board. None of these candidates were MAGA. And the Democrat Party of Virginia is incompetent. With that being said, however, we got walloped. I understand this is a Biden plus 10 state, but a lot of these districts voted for Youngkin. A lot of these competitive ones. And they got crushed. The state Senate was expected. Republicans did not get control of the state Senate. But the House of Delegates, most people thought 50-50 was likely. Democrats have gained control of the House of Delegates, and it seems like they could win upwards of 52. It's very well possible Democrats win 52 House seats. And somebody did some math on it. Turnout was way below expectations in Virginia. And Republicans underperformed. Notice a trend. Turnout was bad in Kentucky compared to 2019. Ohio, turnout was bad for Trump voters. Republicans got crushed. Virginia, turnout stunk. You start looking at it and you realize turnout was awful for the GOP across the board. And that's what caused these blue waves everywhere. Every single state that turnout was down by this much compared to expectations, Republicans got killed. Hell, even in Mississippi, turnout was below expectations. Just a little bit. But still, Tate Reeves did slightly worse than he did in 2019. The trend continues. And you just start looking at it and you realize this is a turnout problem. In abortion, but abortion, I think, can be fixed very simply. So the way you fix the issue of abortion for the Republicans is two things. One, focus on Democrats supporting late-term abortion. I do not care what, outside of like maybe Vermont and like Massachusetts, in most of the country, a lot of people, basically everyone, 70% of voters, they're against late-term abortion. They just are. They're against abortion in the third trimester, the last one, or after 6 months. I mean, look at this. Over 80% of voters, or U.S. adults, said abortion should be illegal in most, if not all cases, in the last trimester. Yeah. Same thing with weeks. Abortion 24 weeks into the pregnancy should not be allowed. 68%. So hammer Democrats on late-term abortion. Republicans tried to do it, but they did not put enough effort into the late-term abortion stuff. But that's just one thing. It's one thing to attack Democrats on late-term abortion, but you cannot let them, and this is in my opinion, is far more important. You cannot let them define you on abortion. You notice how Democrats, and many Republicans are far behind on this, Democrats word abortion very critically, right? And Republicans fail at this. They always mention 6 weeks. They always mention no weeks. They mention just a couple weeks. Now, polling based on abortion bans on weeks is deeply unpopular. That is true. But there's something I've been doing some research on, which somebody brought this up to me a couple days ago, and I've been looking way more into it. Remember the same poll where you had majority of Americans, against late trimester abortions, last one I should say? Well, look what happens when you ask the question based on weeks. All right, so legal abortion through 15 weeks into the pregnancy, 45% of voters said they're against it. Only 45%, with 51% saying they should allow it through 15 weeks. When you ask the same question, but on months, should abortion be legal through the second 3 months? That means months 4 through 6. Gallup found this. 37% of Americans said it should be legal. Only 37%. That's a 14-point decrease. I don't know what it is, but when you say trimester instead of weeks, or even months, you say months, for whatever reason, voters suddenly, they think more of the baby as, more of a baby, not just, oh, it's an abortion. It's like, no, that's a living being. That's somebody that has a chance, being born in a couple months. So when you say trimester, it's more human, I guess you could say. Because when you say weeks, it's like, oh, well, that's just 6 weeks. That's not enough time. Or 15 weeks. That's not enough time. But when you say 3 months, suddenly people think, oh, that's way too much time. We gotta stop it. It is a weird phenomenon that I've been looking into. But when you say trimester or months, for whatever reason, despite it being the same weeks that Republicans usually support, 12 to 15 week bans, popularity for the bans go from like 50-50 or 45-55 to 60-40. And several polls have shown this. It is absolutely fascinating, and it's something that I've been doing a lot of research into. And when I think it is, when you say trimester and stuff, it makes it more human. Like, that's a baby. That's a pregnancy. That's not just, nothing. That's not just a clump of cells. That is a baby that's about to be born in a couple months. That's what I think the GOP should do. Redefine their messaging on weeks to trimester or even months. Because suddenly voters agree with bans on abortion after the first trimester. I don't know why. Again, I think it's because of the human element. But every poll has this. They show the same trend. Now, as for the turnout problem, which I think caused a lot of problems in Kentucky. I don't think it was abortion. I think turnout was a problem in Kentucky. Focus on low propensity voters. This is stupid that the Republican Party doesn't understand this. Your new coalition are white working class voters. Hell, even Hispanic working class voters, Asian voters, etc. They're not Republican yet, but they are trending to the right. You have a broad new coalition, but the problem is white working class voters, Hispanics, again, they're not Republican yet, but they're trending towards that route. The problem with these voters are they don't vote. They are low propensity voters. You have to focus on them the most. In Virginia, their problem was early voting, that was good. They pushed that. But they didn't focus on low propensity voters. For whatever reason, apparently they focused on like the suburban mom in Loudoun County that votes in 90 out of 90 elections. It's like, wait, what? Why are you focused on them? You know they're going to vote. You should be focused on the low propensity Trump voter. We have a trend of elections. Lower turnout elections, the GOP gets crushed in. But elections with higher turnout, they do better than expected. Now, and people are going to say Louisiana, but that's one thing, because Louisiana with turnout, that's because the black vote turnout just collapsing. When you look at white working class turnout, it was actually higher than it was back in 2019, or about the same. And Republicans did great. That's why Landry won by so much. But either way, folks, there's a lot to look at. But I think the way forward is redefine our messaging on abortion. Make it first trimester. After that, restrict abortion. And then focus on getting these low propensity voters out. Anyways, folks, thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below. Subscribe. Share with your friends. Hit that little bell. Follow the social media accounts in the description down below. And of course, join the channel today. Thank you so much. Godspeed to all of you.